Hi, my name is Gaye Spaht. When I was asked to give my story, I said I had thought about writing a book a few times, and if I ever did, I knew I wanted to call it "This Is Not a Sad Story." I grew up in a family of 6 children, the youngest. I was a baby of 6. Now, my sister and I rode horses for about 10 years. We showed the horses. Our parents were wonderful, carting us to, trailing the horses and taking us to nearby cities for horse shows. One of the things that when I think of my father, always his important point was to be a good sportsman. And I think that that affected me the rest of my life. I think that God also has asked me to be a good sportsman. I met the cutest boy ever in 8th grade. We ended up writing notes to each other in school. He asked me to a dance finally, and we dated through high school and through college and married. We were recruited to work for the FBI about a year after we were married, and moved to Washington, D.C. First time we've ever left home. These little deep Southerners, little less than a year after we arrived in Washington, we had an accident, a car accident. We were on our way to work on George Washington Parkway, huge rush hour traffic, and there was a fellow who was trying to avoid someone entering into his lane. He needed to make a decision whether to speed up or to brake, and we've all been in this situation so many times, and he sped up. The cars in front of him he did not realize had stopped, and we were the last car. So he smished us into the car in front of us, and gosh, when I left the emergency room and went home with what we thought was a whiplash. And from that point, I was in and out of the hospital for as much as 45, 60-day stays, and one operation after another, back and neck. Throughout those operations, I also had a lot of tests, naturally, run. One of them is myelogram, which is done with a dye, a pan-opaque dye. The dye ended up causing a disease that's called arachnoiditis, and the nerve roots adhere to each other. The end result is severe leg pain. So I did, unfortunately, develop that with a diagnostic test. Throughout the whole period of lots of roommates in the hospital and long stays in the hospital, God used every single day. Every day was either a blessing to me or to someone else. It was evident. There were some roommates that believed something, and some roommates that believed nothing, and some that I ended up having a wonderful prayer time with, some that developed a relationship. Some of us continued our relationship at home. From time to time, I was complimented on being a pretty good patient. But the real patient one was my husband. As helpless as he felt, he often would say that he did, he was incredible. He was so attentive. He was very encouraging. In fact, I really was the envy of those in the hospital. I had the great-looking husband that was also very attentive. The most physically challenging thing to put up with has been the leg pain. And so at some point, the doctors elected to put an electric stimulator implanted onto the spinal cord. The idea is that the electric shock overrides the pain message to the brain. And it has helped, but only with one leg. Since then, I've also had an implantation of a medicine pump, and that we refill every 2 or 3 months, and that's implanted in my stomach. So I'm bionic. After Charlie graduated from the FBI Academy, we immediately started talking about having a baby. And after being married 7 years, it was the next month I was pregnant. So God knew what he was doing. We didn't at all. We said that we thought that was the epitome of blind faith. We had no reason to believe I wouldn't have another back operation, no reason to believe I could even care for the baby. But God did know, and we knew he did, and so I got one. And while I was pregnant, it was amazing. There's there's a hormone that's produced apparently while you're pregnant, and it's a natural steroid. So I had a huge anti-inflammatory the whole time I was pregnant and nursing. Each time I ended up with 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, and it was when I weaned them, the pain returned. So Charlie used to say he's going to keep me barefoot and pregnant. When Abigail was 7 and Holden was 11 and Charlie was 13, their daddy left. After everything, this was certainly the worst. He must have thought the grass was greener on the other side, and I believe he'd found out probably it's not soon after he left. People asked me if it was a midlife crisis, and I said, I mean, I think it probably was, but there was more. There's something wrong. He's not the Charlie, he wasn't the Charlie that I married. I believe God blessed the union, and he broke it. He stood in the way. And only God knows why. I don't know why. I don't know. God knows. But he certainly has carried us through some incredible times beyond that. He's been there. God has been there for a step ahead of us every time, orchestrating our every move. Our finances, of course, were not. We were in bad shape financially, and he put people in our path, left and right. There were things like that constantly. 2 cars were given to us through the years as well. And I'm telling you that they were faith builders for my children, one right after another. We were in a beautiful, big, wonderful home in Montrose, Alabama, right on the Mobile Bay, and when he left. And now I was left with the house and had to sell it, but I had no money. I didn't even have money for Christmas. But God took care of it all. God sent someone about a week before Christmas. The doorbell rang. I went to the door, and someone that I didn't know was there. A man, he gave me an envelope. I opened the envelope, and it was 5 $100 bills. And I said, "Who are you? Who sent this?" And he said, "They just want me to wish you a Merry Christmas." And Abigail looked up at him at 7 years old, and she said, he said his name was Todd. He said, "Mr. Todd," she said, "are you an angel?" And he said, "Well, maybe you could call me that." And he left, and we've never seen him since. That same Christmas Eve, I was really blue going into the church as a broken family. I couldn't believe it. I was going in with my children and no dad. So we sat down, and I opened up the bulletin, and as the Lord would have it, he perked me right up with, "The poinsettias are given in thanksgiving for Gaye Spaht and her 3 children by an elf." So he continued to carry us through. One day, literally overnight, my foot broke. I didn't do anything with it, to it. I didn't hurt it. I didn't fall on it. Nothing fell on it. And the doctors ended up calling it months and months later, diagnosed it with a name called Charcot foot, which diabetics get. I'm not diabetic. So apparently we assume, everyone assumes that the nerve damage in my back has finally caused that to happen. But it's like an osteoporosis in my foot, and it's very painful. Recently I had a knee replacement. And my physical therapist, Bobby, who has been with me, or I with him, for 4 or 5 years, was absolutely amazed, as was the whole office, the clinic, with my progress. I did great. And in fact, he turned to the other therapist one day, soon as we had the surgery and I was in his office finally. He said, "Look at Miss Gaye. I mean, she came to me rehabbed." And I said, "I told you I had a divine physician." I had told him many times, I don't know where Bobby is with God. I know where some of the others are, but I don't know about Bobby. But Bobby knows exactly where I am. It's like I said, it came to me that it is that simple, that you let go, let God. I mean, let go is all you have to do, but it's very big, I know. But it's a surrender. But I even think that's the Spirit, I even think he made me let go. How could I do that? But on a day-to-day level, I wake up, I remember telling you this and you went, wow. I mean, I should have said it. I wake up very excited for the day and I'm eager to see what he has. And that is, a huge desire to see what he has. And I'm very happy, excited about him when I wake up. I'm completely honest when I tell you that I crawl into bed many nights, most nights, saying to God, "Look what we've done, Lord. Look what we did today. I can't believe it. Thank you."